Welcome to the Fantasy Goons podcast, part of the Pucks Out family. It's time to skip the book and find out the info you need to win your league with Bobby, Davey, and Brandon.
Welcome into the Fantasy Goons. I'm Bobby, he's Davey, he's Brandon.
Heyo.
You can find us on the three major social media at the Fantasy Goons, mainly just on Twitter though. Now let's talk about who's not the champ, who is the champ, and who will be the champ next season. And obviously, all of you out there, you're all the champ because you were smart enough to listen to us. You're the real champions out there.
But if we were giving the championship to somebody that wasn't the fans,
and unfortunately it wasn't given out this year. There was a weird count.
One to me. We may give one to me, but then we may give the other one to me if we were going back to back here. I just want to thank all my people. I just want to thank all the fans out there. I want to thank me the first year for just getting whacked, bro, just getting smashed by everybody. So I knew that I had to come back with a vengeance. It was my origin story. I will never lose another one of these again. I don't want to feel that feeling again. Okay?
Love the confidence right there. Love
it. But this year, I think we can all agree that this was absolutely the closest battle
100%
that we've had since. I mean, this was ridiculous. Like we had 58. You were 58 points from me. I mean, that wasn't that you weren't far behind or anything.
Yeah,
not too bad. Yeah,
I feel extremely fortunate to be walking away with this victory because Bobby said before the show started, couple more games, man. My victory was not as secure as
when the
as
final round started. I was about 40 points behind. I finished 16 points behind.
But the problem with that is, and showing that close, comeback was, if you got those extra games, then that means I got wins from Bessie, and that was the big problem was when anytime the Lightning got
the thing
is,
as long as it's not a shutout, that's 1 point, which I think that because really it's about making that like. Just inching and nickel and diming it. And honestly, the biggest difference was not the extra games at that last round. What killed me was that I drafted too. The problem is I drafted too good. My players were just too good. My team was just too good, and they swept two teams. If they had just gotten two extra, if they had gone to 6 games, I know. Hey, but you know what? And I factored in them maybe sweeping the Preds.
They were good in regular hockey, but that's not what this game's about.
I didn't think the Avs were sweeping 2 teams.
But seriously, even I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it was only 1 point. But if the Lightning were winning, then my Lightning players were also gonna get points. That was the way that they were
100%.
winning.
Yeah.
And Rantanen, to be fair, I think Rantanen ended up being the. Let's see. I'm looking at your team, Bob, to see where.
I think Killican. What is it? McKinnon was my top scorer.
McKinnon and Landeskog ended up beating, and then McCarr ended up beating. But Rantanen was the 4th highest scoring, Colorado guy, which I happen to have.
And
who's had the highest score? Did it end up being still Davey with the 82 from McDavid? Because I think
I had 73 from McCarr.
I had 77 was my highest from Draisaitl.
That is insane.
82 McDavid, here.
82 McDavid.
That's just insane, man.
But that being said, we had the first year that the top pick actually scored top pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it works.
Now, I have a question though for you. Does this say more about how comfortable are you in the future having the top pick? Because doing a snake draft, there's a lot, we're getting, the other guys are getting 2 getting more guys, 2 guys before you get your second. So I mean,
all right. I didn't like it either, but think about it. Last year. I won with the top pick. I think pick doesn't matter. It does in your mind when you're picking, and maybe if you have a specific team that you want to get. But we've shown right here that the ultimately what you want is the balance, and I think that's what I had the whole time. I had a good number of players and good chunks of players on. And I didn't have a lot of Minnesota players, which went out early.
Which I did. I went heavy on Minnesota, and Calgary.
So I think what else we learned was having a team-heavy approach is very beneficial if you pick the right team like Bobby did.
Yeah.
Bobby, you've said it. Your guys probably played a ton less games than my guys did overall. But it didn't ultimately matter because they didn't play enough games. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, normally you don't get that. You normally don't get
Bobby didn't win. I couldn't believe Bobby didn't win. I was just like, because of the least amount of games they played, because they were just so dominant.
And here's the thing: if some of these games, like if that wasn't a 2-1 game, they could have very easily been a situation where Cale Makar gets a hat trick and Landeskog has 2 of those assists and McKinnon's in on those. And then that's immediately an extra 15 points for me in a game. Like, and so if they're just higher,
and then you would have only lost about 1, bro. That'd have been sad for you.
Well, then you do that in a couple games, and next thing you know,
I hear what you're saying, but
Davey, I've got a question for you. You've got the first pick next round or next year. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a little insight? Are you going Connor McDavid again? I mean, is that a given? Are you 100% going Connor McDavid again, or are you looking at the numbers and saying, you know what?
Yeah,
maybe I go someone else but I personally think not to answer for you. I think with the first pick, you're at this point in time with the info we have, you're stuck going Connor McDavid because either way. Other guys are still getting I mean, the guy who got Connor McDavid is going to get another pick before you still.
Look at it. Look at it this way. I said I wasn't taking Connor McDavid if I had the first pick. I was going to take McKinnon, like Bobby took, and McKinnon had a fantastic series.
But if you probably would have lost.
Well, right, but see the problem is that McKinnon on any given day has 7 or 8 other dudes that can go out there and drop some dimes on folks. Whereas me and Davey, and you got Evander Kane, but we wrapped up pretty much every offensive play that happened for Edmonton by taking Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah. Kane got me 53 points, and I was surprised.
That's awesome.
Kane got that. That is an insane points for Evander Kane.
As the third picker, though, I mean, Bobby, I don't know how you feel, and I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I don't see how I don't end up with McKinnon next year because I don't see how you don't take Draisaitl second. And maybe you won't. Maybe you will take McKinnon, but I don't.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I just obviously there's a long time between then.
Sure.
I don't think I can confidently say I'm going to take Draisaitl. I don't see how I can look at my stats.
Thank you so much.
I mean.
I should have go ahead and pre-order another one of these bad boys, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
I think Colorado is not sweeping 2 teams next year. I think Cale Makar is going to improve. I think Cale Makar isn't going to have more points than Connor McDavid, but I think Connor McDavid's going to have, or I think Cale Makar is going to have more points than Draisaitl in next season's playoffs.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, honestly, here's the real answer. The real answer for me is I get the first pick next year, and Oilers get a badass goaltender. They're going to contend next season, and they're going to go all the way. And I'm going Connor McDavid, first round pick, and I'm probably still going to lose, but I might win. We'll see. No, that's my answer.
So who is this goalie that they're getting?
They need one. That's all I know.
They're just going to shrink the goal down, make it real tiny, real tiny. I mean, is there anywhere that anybody is going? I really, this is the point where I lost. Does anybody have that draft pick that they took that, like, okay, maybe it's not the sole reason I lost, but
100%. I have no doubt in my mind that my second pick of the draft, Jonathan Huberdeau with 11 points in Florida, That, I mean, what an like, again, not the reason I lost is because you did so great, and my I mean, I should have picked better elsewhere to counter that. But when you're second overall pick, I mean, Florida didn't perform well this playoff, and I don't know if I can go back. And here's my Florida players: 11 points from Huberdeau, 12 points from Reinhardt, 2 points from Weezer, 6 points from Forsling. I mean, that's I'm not going back to Florida again next season.
Well, and I got I mean, I didn't get a lot from Florida guys. Actually, my Florida guys that I did have actually did okay. Barkov did okay for me with 18 points. Not great, but I didn't draft him super early. Ekblad did okay with 11. I got him a little late. But I mean, to your point, my top two guys, you were talking about your top guys was McKinnon with 63 points, and then Huberdeau with 11. Is that right?
No, Huberdeau. Yeah, my top two draft picks. Yeah.
So 74 points from your top two guys, whereas mine, Draisaitl and Rantanen, gave me 133 points. I mean, I think that is where the difference has been, is those guys that ended up getting you 60 or 70 points. I mean, it has to be, for me, is my Rangers guys that really stepped it up for me. Zibanejad that got kind of deep, got me. Zibanejad got me 66, and Adam Fox got me 55. I mean, without Adam Fox on my defense, I had 147 defensive points, and 55 of those was Adam Fox.
I had 185 and 73 from a car.
I'll tell you where I could really improve, and especially since I started taking goalies a little earlier than both of you, is I've got to get my goalie game locked up a little bit more.
I was impressed with my goalie game. I was okay with my goalie game this season.
Well, Ranta really knocked it out of the park for me, getting me 25 points, and then obviously I had Vasilevsky getting me 53, but I had 87 goalie points, meaning that those two guys got me 78. And I had 9 between Talbot, Anderson, and Bobrovsky. Yeah. And that's happened to me both years in a row. If I could shore those up, because again, I took goalies before you guys. I could have had multiple of the higher scoring goalies, and this wasn't even close. If that happens, if I take them away, if I took Shesterkin when Bob took Shesterkin, I mean, I don't think this is even as close.
Yeah, but who did you take instead that maybe I would have gotten?
I took a goalie. I think I started a goalie.
You took someone else.
I think I took Vasilevsky, and then I think I took Bobrovsky, and then you were like, okay, I've got two goalies, and I don't know how that's happened, but I'm just
did I pull first goalie, or did you pull first goalie?
I got Vassy.
He had to. He got Vassy.
Because I grabbed Kemper and Markstrom, so I had to grab them fairly early in a sense, but.
You did, but that was after I started that run.
Okay.
I went Vassy, and then I went Bobrovsky right after. Yeah. And then so he took Shesterkin. Like, if I took Shesterkin right now instead of Bobrovsky, even, that's a game changer.
Changes,
it changes. But so that's been my weakest point on all of the years, has been goalie, and I really need to step that up.
Now, question: is there anything right now? Our scoring for skaters is goals, assists, power play goals, overtime goals, shorthanded goals, and game winner goals. Is there anything that you guys going forward would like to see change as far as goal scoring or scoring weights? Because there are other we could add plus minus, we could add games played, shots, and PIMs. I'm just showing you, like, those are the selections in there that can be added. Now obviously we would have to replace a category with that, because you can only have 6 categories.
I think this is where we ended. I think this is where we ended, because I think this was the most. I mean, plus minus is not always about the guy you pick, and so I think that's why. I think that's why we ended here. Honestly, unless PIMS gave you negative points, that is the worst thing to have in a fantasy playoff pool. Like, a penalty in a playoff game is you can make PIMS can give you negative points, which would have killed me, because with Evander Kane, that would have hurt his. But no, I really like where we're at. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch that I'd love to do with it, but we're limited by the site. If because honestly, like hits and blocks or something, that I would be like, let's get them in there, because that really changes it. But no, I mean, unfortunately, because we went through this the last 2 years, we kind of went through them, and it's like I think we've hit. There's not even any different weight that I would give anything. I think everything is hit really the perfect weight. Like you have a good night, and I mean, I think this happened multiple times where one of us would just have a good like 20 or 30 point night, and it would just put them back into the game. We never really had that. If you have a really great night, it still doesn't matter. I mean, every night seemed to have mattered a lot more.
Yeah.
And nothing was weighted higher than I think it should have.
It showcases the offense, It showcases the offensive talent of both defense.
They did add, after the season ended, the website we used, they added a new feature. It's called keep top players. Pretty much, you can select to drop the lowest, and you can select whether it's the lowest 1, lowest 2, lowest 3, lowest 4, however many. They do that so that in case, obviously injuries happen, if at the end of the season, when they calculate the final numbers, each team drops their lowest score. So that's just, I'm not saying I'm up for that, but that is a new feature that the site has. And that could be interesting because a lot of times injuries do, I mean, it sucks to lose because a guy gets, like Sammy Gerard gets knocked out in the first round, then he's done. He's broken a femur and he's done.
Let's just do it real quick. Pick your, let's say 2. Pick your drop your lowest 2, and what is that? What does that score give you?
My lowest 2, so that would be, I think there's
I actually add a point because I have a 0 and a -1 if we just do 2. So I'm actually at 730 now, guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to say though that if we did this, we would have to make a home rule that you don't drop a -point because that means they fucked up and did something wrong.
No, you don't get. No, you drop lowest 4, bro.
Okay.
You drop lowest 4. Okay. I mean, he played one game and lost it. So
no, yeah. I don't think by any means that it would give me the win. I don't think it would give me the win. I'm not saying that. I think that I was just saying it's a new feature they have, and with injuries. Jeez,
you guys get that too.
Yeah, the blue alert. Holy crap. Man. Thank goodness they don't do that when regular people get shot. Because no, Lord. Okay. So would there, even if,
I mean, I would have dropped. I would have lost. I guess I would have lost 2 points. So you would have gained points, so it doesn't matter. I would have dropped.
Not if we only if we did 2. If we did like 4, then I would have had to drop.
Uyghur had 2 points. I would have dropped a 2 and a 3 if we did lowest 2.
I would have ended up if we dropped lowest 4. I would have ended up dropping 4 points.
Yeah, right now it looks mine would both be goalies, which would have been 3 and a 1, I guess. There you go. That's what I'm losing.
And I don't think, and the thing with that is, I don't think it really changes the outcomes. I think it just kind of says, hey, you don't get to blame, a guy who was injured or some bullshit like that.
Well, not that any of us have ever done that. I mean, we've all had injuries.
I personally wouldn't implement it because, hey, you picked.
I don't think we should either. I mean, this is because, I mean, in this case, I mean, I had Braden Point go out super early. He only got me 17 points, and he's been a pretty star player. Now, it's not. That's not.
Would you guys keep the same roster size going forward, or would you want to expand somewhere or decrease somewhere?
No, we can always expand. I mean, let's just say we'll throw one more on each section. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't bad. Good.
I really like where we're at. Like, I mean, we can always make changes, but I don't think we should make changes just for the sake of change. I mean, extra
it's
players.
More like, hey, the end of the season, we kind of have to, I think the question should be asked. I'm fine where we are. But if at some point one of y'all was like, oh, I hate that I only had 14 skaters. I'm going to be mad until I get 15.
No, because remember, we made contentions for the COVID, COVID, and then we ended up just adding them in, and I think that ended up being pretty okay.
My only thing is, and I'm curious. I'm going to ask this question first: is how many shorthanded goals did you guys have? I had 1 total. They're worth 1 point, so to me, it's a pointless category. But,
yes, that is something I would say is that shorthanded is not worth a lot, and I think that was a mistake.
Well, no, hold on. It's a shorthanded point. And
so you get an extra point on top of the goal.
It adds to whatever you already get.
So it's an additional, right?
It's additional,
which is cool. Yeah. It's cool, but they're rare. And to me, if we're wasting a stat category on it, would we rather have something else where you get a point per block or a point per hit?
Well, we can't because those stats don't exist on the site.
Got it. Okay, you can't just replace it. Okay,
I think that's why we did it. Is we did shorthanded at 1 because we couldn't we could either replace it with plus minus or PIMS.
Yeah, but we can. But I hear what you're saying. We can up it to 2 points, though.
Yeah, 100%. No, yeah. Or I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
You know? How many did you guys have?
2. I had 2 shorthanded goals.
2. I had Kreider and Draisaitl.
And I had McCarr and Nurse.
So yeah, man. So super. We're me and Bobby with 2. We're super pumped about adding extra points to it, man. Yes, Davey, we're interested. Yeah. We'll go ahead now. Hey, we can go ahead and add them right now. So you had 1, Davey. You get an extra point. Bobby had 2, so he gets 2 extra points.
I pulled ahead from Davey.
Man, no, I'm thinking like next year you could make that category worth 2 or something next year.
Yeah. No, I'm totally interested in that because
something like that.
Shorthanded points.
I also wanted to approach maybe game winners being worth, because game winners in playoffs, like that's a important goal.
That's a good stat.
Right now they're worth 2. I mean, I don't know how many game winners you guys had. I had 11 game winners.
I had 11 as well.
Let's see here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
You can look at the total at the bottom of this.
I'm not good at adding. So I had 12.
It tells you the total. Okay.
I'm not good at adding 2 numbers. I got to add 13 numbers, buddy.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like if we made it worth, it'd be an extra point for Brandon.
Y'all can keep trying to figure out how y'all can beat me, though. Keep going.
No, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to figure out how to win. I'm figuring out how to make this, because game winners should add some good weight. That is an important goal. I mean, getting the game winner in playoffs is important.
I think the extra 2 points for that was a worthy ad.
Yeah, I don't think it's not like I don't think we fully undervalued it. I was just saying what your guys' opinion was on making it more valued. But hey, I think before we head off, we'll be off for a little bit. The Fantasy Goons will be away for a bit. Brandon and I are next month. We're going to Cancun. Davey, I'm sure you got some stuff going on. There's no hockey to talk about. Anything you guys want to leave the listeners off with before we go on a short hiatus this summer?
Yeah, pay attention to what happens during the free agency, during the draft. Everything like that is all going to impact teams this offseason. Pay attention to basically every team that shuffles. It's going to change. It's going to be a lot of shuffling. There's a lot of free agents. Pay attention where they go. You slot somebody in next to McDavid and Draisaitl. I mean, he's a guy to consider even more, higher up in order. That's obviously a hypothetical, but things like that just pay attention. Watch the offseason, what happens, acquisitions, teams. Stick it on NHL.com. Watch that. And obviously keep up with the Pucks Out pod, because they're going to keep you up to date. I know you guys are going to keep everybody in the loop on acquisitions. And so, yeah, that's what I got for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot of the signings and stuff. Maybe, obviously here and there, because it's Bobby and I, about the fantasy impact that it's gonna bring. But I mean, there are going to be some fantasy podcasts out there that maybe are a little more active than we're able to be with what we do. So if you're really interested in kind of keeping up to date and kind of keeping up to speed, go find a couple of those podcasts that'll kind of
let us know. Yeah, let us know about your interest, and if enough people to speak up, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. With the new process of us being able to just pop online anytime we need to. Seriously, that's actually a really good point.
Absolutely, always down to do it.
You guys are desperate for top 10 new signings that provide fantasy impact. Let us know. I mean, I'm sure that we already kind of, and I've already kind of thought about it. I know that this off season, once we kind of get off our hiatus, I was wanting to be a lot more active now that this is more accessible. Nobody has to drive to me and stuff. Right. So we can probably do a lot more after our hiatus. But really appreciate all of you guys. Hope that hopefully you won championships. Hopefully you kind of tailed us to the promised land, and we can bring championship trophies and make your wives and girlfriends and fiancés hate you like ours hate us. So.
But all right, everyone. For Davey and Brandon, I'm Bobby Butler. Thank you so much for watching the Fantasy Goons. This is not a goodbye. This is a see you later. Have a great summer, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
This has been the Fantasy Goons podcast, brought to you by Standing Stone Farms. Listen to the boys every week and join in on the conversation on the 3 majors of social media.